to the extent of claiming that Signoro was having a space, everything turned upside down, not divine. They were planning terrorist activities. They were planning to see how they can finance that. Zvakaitika izvozvo. So that you understand, it confirms what I said earlier. You can't screen people. You can't. You cannot. Manje ini ndakadzidziswa kuti ndikanyia munhu ndikanzi wakataura nezvakonza nani ndoti aiwa ndatosirira. So which means what I say I'm able to repeat it. So what I just said to them was I don't play cheap politics. If CIOs were in that space, do you think they will listen to your cheap politicking? I had to put it in writing because sometimes they don't want you to speak to defend yourself. To say you think the security system is so stupid to rely on you on a recorded space, they would simply go and extract. So I'm just saying it so that you understand. There's some people who are so desperate to destabilize any efforts of innocent people. Anyone who is struggling, who is having sleepless nights, who is not at home, genuinely not at home, they're innocent. Home is best. So having said that, there's a lot that we can discuss. I think the payoff line, we need to have more educational, revolutionary lessons to speak to, which speaks to how did we get to where we are. I think that narrative to me is very important. And move away from cheap politics. How did we get to where we are? And I can tell you it's a threat, serious threat to any politics of the land to dig out that information. I think it's important. Let's learn to appreciate such information. As an example, in this island, ukanza kuti kune caps, hamuizive, which used to supply drugs, not only in Zimbabwe, but Southern Africa. And then if you had to do a topic to speak to, which speaks to what happened to our industries, you'll understand that CAPS was destroyed, not because it belongs to a foreigner, but it belonged to one of us, a war veteran for that matter. It doesn't matter who you are. If you are not part of the cult, they will take you down. Thank you for giving me the time to speak, host. And let's soldier on. It's not a one-day event. It's not a one-man band. The struggle continues and victory certainly guaranteed.
Many thanks, Uncle Senior. You will never be a tourist, and Wamari Divine will never be a tourist. It's one of ours is a Zimbabwean. So I don't know why people rush to want to label others. There are other issues we need to highlight. I don't understand what is normally happening in Zimbabwe. It's just a matter of whether the government is confused or it doesn't care. I don't understand. To say they are spending 5 million to do elections, farmers haven't been paid, and we have lots of issues including cholera, no power, no fertilizers, no food, but we are having another recall. Yet still we have that appeal against the last judgment which have led to the by-election. And some of us were thinking to say maybe the correct thing is for that appeal to be successful and we forget about this election, because they drain a lot of energy and bring nothing on the table to the rest of the nation rather than to the ED, since he is the one who is likely to benefit. Others who will benefit in terms of farmers, like what he farms, money, like what Douglas and the others do. There are very few individuals. We want everybody to enjoy it because Zimbabwe is for everybody. So that is where the problem I have a problem with in terms of what happens within the government circle. To say now that we are spending 5 million and they are having another recall. And even the issue of our constitution needed to be revisited because those proportional representatives, the number is ever increasing, and now it's now being used to remove those who are elected who have come through democracy into the office. They are being replaced by the PR, including even those provincial council. You'll find out to say all of them, they come from they're just appointed. They come from political parties instead from the people. We wanted them to come from the people. But I do salute the maturity which have shown by the people going into these elections. People are talking a lot about double candidates, what. But other political parties have shown a bit of maturity, including ZAPU, Mutwaka's Liberation. We don't agree with some of them, what they do, but when they say, no, what is necessary is reforms in Zimbabwe. We need to reform political reforms before we go to elections. I do agree and I do understand their point. Even when ZAPU said we couldn't field the candidates because there are other candidates opposing ZANU-PF, because they understand to say who is the enemy in the cupboard, there's a skeleton in the cupboard. I mean to say they would understand that. So where we have to go, where I would slightly differ with the Uncle Senior is when he said that we have to see where we, how did you get up to here? Mine, I would say, I would agree, of course, to say we should examine ourselves. How do we get up to here? Up to the position where we are? And what is the way forward? Because this situation of recalling and the election, recalling and by-election is not sustainable. Even for us to spend time discussing about recalling and by-elections, recalling and by-elections, when somebody can just recall, it's just simple to recall anybody from parliament now, the way how it is done. And we have even lost the respect of some of the ministers like Chitando. To say when they are recalling, we lose the respect. So I've seen there are a lot of hands which are coming up and going down. So for the time being, let me just see if I can drink some water. Thanks a lot, host. I received my mic.
Oh yeah, just a quick one. Sorry, host, to clarify. I introduced Divine here. Kana auya panapa mumubvunze. It's part of intelligence zvandataura izvi. Musadzinge munhu. Vazukuru vaMnangagwa. I don't have to hide this.
Signor, we don't want it that it's where we live.
Hold on, Tops. There's a reason why. I thought you had. I said I'm not taking it personal about Oti. I did not work with him, but akauya kana mada. Mumubvunze kuti kwewewe zvaunoita mari, how can you do it? Those who understand where I'm coming from, you'll be able to understand. You'll be able to gather some of the things. So the reason for introducing was purposeful, so that at least those who benefited on that day, they realize, oh, ingadai tisina kunge taziva zviripo. That's my point. And it's just an example. I thought that is very, very critical.
Yeah, I thought I think Uncle Senior. In any case, he is here. He's using a different handle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Honestly, openly, so you can ask him how best we can do what we are doing without interfering, kwete kuti zvichizotaurwa neumwe munhu.
Yeah, can I say something quickly because I'm about to get on my train? Please. Thank you very much, host. Thank you very much, co-host. Thank you very much, all the speakers. Yeah, I was in London today. Peaceful plan process at Zimbabwe Embassy. Zimbabwe Embassy by night. You can go and see the videos. I'm going to send a few messages out later on for what is happening and everything else. Yeah, there's a few meetings that are happening, I think, at the Zimbabwe Embassy. I think it's a hub for a number of different things that happen to plan for the future. I think the ambassador might be in Zim right now. I think I saw all the dignitaries that were sent out by EG. They've got a meeting of some sort in Zimbabwe. So, yeah, that's all for now. But I'll come back and talk a lot more about things that we were talking about in other spaces regarding by-elections and stuff like that and recalls. I'm personally very happy. I knew that they were going to happen. There's nothing I can do about them, but I'm happy for a different reason. It's a bit like Trump. Many people don't like the fact that Trump was there, but I'm actually happy that Trump was there because he showed how racist certain things are. So in this situation, with all these recalls, thank you very much.
Yeah, many thanks, Mkoma Zimbabwe. I think let's go to another speaker, maybe Mike Gwase or Zem or Marshall.
Yeah, thank you for the space. Just wanted to comment when Mkoma Dob said you don't understand about all these recalls. All these recalls are being done to offend people, to make people very angry. Because the ZANU-PF is hungry for blood. They want to kill now. So all these recalls are meant to make us very, very angry, and then we start what we want to start. That's why they are doing this. They are hungry for blood. That's all I can say. zvataurwa nambuya vavhii kuti ndimbuya vhii vachitaurwa nati somebody kuti izvozvi kunaka uye akadzokera ikoko. That's the plan.
Yeah, that is the plan, but there is that issue inombotaurwa nevanhu kuti handiti kana inombotaurwa kunzi kana bere rakuda kudya mhingi kana vana varonoti vanonhuhwa sembudzi vacharovana ikoko, vachaponda ikoko. Because I don't think it's only the people who are outside ZANU-PF who are angry. Kana vana mukupe vanga vari varidzi vezanu vari macentral committee members vakatomboita mapolitibhiro vakatomboatenda mameeting emapolitibhiro vakuindiswa kumajere. We know what it means. Kana vana what is this name, Henrietta vaimboti vabagodhe votibvunza kuti saka muchaita sei, tikataura kuti tichaonana tichasangana hedu maelections apera, ende takanga tichitovanyeurira setinoprofita kuti tichasangana. Otherwise taitaura kuti vachasangana havo maelections apera, vakazosungwa sei. So we don't even ndopanotaurwa nevanhu veCC havo kuti we fear fakoro because we know what it is. They are not angering us, but they are shooting themselves in the foot because it doesn't add up. And it's a senseless thing. Kutitira mahumbwe. What is it they are supposed to lead us or to govern us? Then they do that mahumbwe of recalling and after recalling. And after recalling, even the person who is recalling is not even fielding candidates. It's like what Dagi was doing. We can't move on with the same script of Dagi. In actual fact, some of us, we have been calling to say we want fresh elections because the August 2023, it's not done and dusted. We are still going to visit it. That message, we are not going to withdraw it. They might recall the whole parliament or the whole opposition. But that message to say 2023 is not done and dusted, no matter they put their prawns, like what they did when they put Dagi was being sent to European Parliament, to the Senator, USA, to House of Lords to represent and trying to sanitize to say Mnangagwa is a legitimate president. This time we are going to just send that message using different method to say no, it's not done and dusted. Let's see have reform and revisit our elections because they were not free, fair, and credible. We are not going to wait for the SADC. We are not saying we are not going to listen to the SADC. We are going to listen, but we are not going to wait for them to say that report is enough for us. And let's go and see what we are going to do. We are going to be moving, looking that sense to say it's not done and dusted. Not as politicians. They will never be politicians. And the progressive Zimbabweans will never be a political party. Far from it. For anybody who wants to lead any political party is within progressive Zimbabwe, we will have to check him out to say move away and go and form one political parties. Your constitutional rights. We understand people's rights. But the issue of having collective and demand our rights from Zimbabwe is an idea which we are. Some of us we just wanted to see the going on and on, even if we are, even if we surrender it to say no, I can no longer do it. But we want people to be united and then demand their constitutional rights instead of just blaming the politicians. Like what if Warakashi did this thing like Chamisa this and that from Monday to Friday, I mean Monday to Sunday. 24 hours a day, they will be saying that to say, yeah, this and this, to try to believe, to say, no, maybe it is him who is not. Yet it's them. They are the ones who are kidnapping people like Ngazo. They are the ones who are putting in Garubume and Job Scala in prison on those offenses, which they did not even commit any offense. And the next time it will be us. They are the issues that they want us to be afraid to say they kill. We are already afraid. It doesn't matter that we are speaking and speaking out. We are already afraid, but we have understood to say even if we keep quiet, ZANU-PF does kill. No matter we keep quiet, no matter you do whatever, they don't. Those who are not around, they want you to be angry and they want your blood. They are just like that. Even if we are not angry, they will just want our blood. We understand them. We know what ZANU-PF is. But the correct way, we know for us as Zimbabweans, we only have to unite and remove them. Not remove them from Zimbabwe, from power. They can stay in Zimbabwe, it's their country, they were born there. They have equal rights with us as Zimbabweans. The only problem with them, they are not progressive. They are just selfish and want to take dangerous to Zimbabwe itself. And they don't respect other Zimbabweans. I received my mic, was I end up speaking a lot.
Hello, everyone. There's quite a number of requests to speak. I'm not sure who's ready now from the speakers who wants to take the mic. Mike wazema mataura here.
I think there's Mike Waze and then there's Zim. I don't know, Zimbabwe economy.
Which
Did he?
there's two the Zim and then there's Zem as well. So I'm not sure. Mike are you ready to take the mic?
Oh yeah, ndambe ndataura hangu asi ndanchida kungobvunza kuti saka maactions atinoita tinozowataura kupi? Is there another background place yatinotaura?
I'm sure Konzanani can answer that for you, or Dobs. Please
Yeah,
go
cause
ahead and answer Mike
yeah,
was.
yeah, Mike was when yeah we also speak about these things in the background.
Okay, okay.
Cause we learned a lesson. Well, in a good way. So when we did the Bay Bridge demo, that was the first one that we did.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So we announced it for a long time
mm-hmm,
in Pharma Spaces. But then
mm-hmm.
when we announced it, three days prior to the demo,
Mm-hmm.
the intelligence here to Zimbabwe and South Africa under Ramaphosa,
Mm-hmm.
they decided, I think, to come together, and it was cancelled in the last minute. But we did not anyway follow that protocol because it was too late for people
Mm-hmm.
not to go to the border, because some people from Cape Town were already making their way to go and
Mm-hmm.
demonstrate and were given the permission to do that. So they
Mm-hmm.
spoke directly to the magistrate in Messina to say, cancel this thing, because if you are not going to do it, these are the words of the magistrate, that they
Mm-hmm.
threatened his life, that if he allows Zimbabweans to go ahead and demonstrate at the border, his life will be a threat. They're gonna, do something. So he called them to 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 come to the border, and he spoke to them, like, physically, to say this is going to be cancelled. And we posted the letter. The letter had no valid reasons why. You see, so we learned from that, but we went ahead, and that's where the security of South Africa, like the police and the army, surrounded our people to say, you're not going to do this. And then the intelligence of Zimbabwe also came in at the border. So to us, it was a blood sign that, you know what, they 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 were threatened by what we wanted to do. For them to come all the way from Zimbabwe, and for Ramaphosa to even call a security and army to usher our people away from the border, it was a big thing. It made an impact. But now going forward, we decided, okay, you know what? Whenever we do something, we don't put it in the public. For example, the demos that happened last week Friday, they were organized very quick because we saw um, the 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 information which was circulating, saying there will be a SADC meeting in Angola. So we said, what can we do? How can you rebut? So privately, we organized that. People in South Africa went to the embassy. I think you guys saw the video circulating. So we didn't announce it before it happened. We started announcing it when it was happening. So that is the strategy that we're taking now, that we discuss the projects behind the scene, then we announce them when they're happening so that they won't be intercepted. But we're doing them legally, especially this one, the other one as well, the embassy one. We had to get a clearance, and they executed it. And I think it made a lot of impact because even the embassy people had to report to Zimbabwe to say this is what progressives are demanding in terms of the referendum that we sent to them, which had 11 items that we recorded on top of the request. The request list was re-elections. That those whatever elections happened in Zimbabwe, they were rigged. So those were the things that we requested, amongst many other things. So yeah, we've taken a stance of not announcing, but we announce it as it happens.
Oh,
But
thank you so much for clarifying that. Now,
but
what? Mhm.
we've got some groups behind the scenes. If you wanna, join some of those groups, because they are close groups, we don't just add anyone. It's not about numbers, but it's about the people that we know that they are for this thing. So we do a
Mhm.
bit of vetting and stuff and all
Mhm.
that. So that's when you
Mhm.
can see other things. Uh,
Mhm.
so you can maybe DM me or DM Dobbs, DM others,
Mhm.
Lisa and others, and then we can speak to you behind the scenes and then get your real name. As you know me, I'm Konzanani, so that's
Mhm.
my real name. So we want to verify people, and then we'll take it
Mhm.
from there. Yeah,
Mhm.
I
Thank you,
hope
thank you,
I
thank
hope
you
that
so
makes
much.
sense.
No,
Yeah.
thank you very much. But when you were speaking, I'm just thinking about South Africa, that they are heading the same way like Zimbabwe. Then
Yeah, that's the thing. Even when we did our Beitbridge demo thing, it demonstrated that Ramaphosa and ZANU PF are working together, or ANC and ZANU PF. They don't want to be moved. They've been looting resources. I mean, Ramaphosa, we know about the Pala Pala farm thing and these many other things. So yeah, South Africa is heading the same way, and we hope that in 2024 they will be able to remove Ramaphosa. And that's why there is also a need for people in the SADC region to come together and fight this system. I mean, when we're watching Al Jazeera documentary, those the gold mafia thing, it also it was also happening in South Africa. So that's what, yeah, you're right by saying also South Africa is heading the same direction, and only the people or the citizens can rescue our region, as in SADC, and our
Thank
country
you.
or
Mm.
Africa at large. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So thank you. But there are some, yeah, projects that are gonna happen, and they also need our support as Zimbabweans because it requires resources. So we'll be just posting a link. Anyone that wishes to help to donate or support, you're free to do that. So thank you, Michael, for that question. Thank you.
As Zem, you want to speak or the truth so that I don't jump you?
Yeah, there's this person called Zimbabwe Economic. Is it Zimbabwe Economic Movement?
Zem,
I don't know whether he had a chance to talk or she had a chance to talk.
Yeah, I thought
Zem,
so as well. Good. No, not yet. They haven't spoken. I don't know whether they are busy or they're even listening in. I don't
Hi
know.
guys.
Oh,
I
okay.
yes, I
Fine.
want thank you everyone. I was not intending to speak, uh, and somehow I requested, but it's okay. I always have something to say. I was listening to everyone. Yes, it's true. We got attacked, me and Mr. Signoro, by some individuals. It's been happening a lot wherever we go. We get attacked. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it's CC members. Sometimes it's ZANU PF members. It happens. I don't know why, but we are looking for the struggle to free our country. That's clear, and the goal is the same. That we are actually launching a lawsuit now. I just sent it to the progressive host. You can see it. I sent you a message. The host, progressive Zim diaspora host. I think you like it. So that's what we are launching. It's a lawsuit to challenge in the constitutional court. And so I'll be giving you more information about that as well. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you, guys.
Many
Thank
thanks.
you.
Many thanks, Zem. Some of us, we don't see, we even use glasses to see the road. So if you can explain a bit further about your lawsuit in the Constitutional Court.
Okay, so what we decided in the Supreme Court uh, of Zimbabwe, in the Constitutional Court of Zimbabwe, we are challenging the actions of the president, basically in the way he runs the country on just about everything. And we are using section 2.1 of the Zimbabwe Constitution. We're going to look at conduct and action. We're going to look at the way he runs it. So I'm going to just read you part of the lawsuit, so it'll be just easier for you guys to hear the flow of it. Um, so we have a group called Justice Under the Rule of Law that we are working to get this lawsuit done with. It's a group of us, and we put money together, about $100 each. Yeah, so hold on. I'm pulling it up now, so I can just read it. It'll be easier that way. So in the Constitutional Court of Zimbabwe, Harare case, so we are represented by Tichawana Mpasiri, who's the applicant to represent our group. And in the order, the Honorable Court, under Section 167, which asks us, that's the only place we can ask the President. This is the only one, 167, Section 2, subsection D. And then Section 167, subsection 3. We are asking for an order declaring that the respondent's proclamation of the by-election pursuant to Chabango's recall decision and consequential conduct leading to the recognition and enforcement of the Speaker of Parliament of Chabango's conduct, which is constitutionally invalid and unlawful with regards to the recall, is unfair, void, ab initio, and of no legal force or effect. And we are asking the Constitutional Court a declaration that the conduct of the respondent in the recall affair is inconsistent with Section 2, subsection 1 of the Zimbabwe Constitution. In the declaration that the respondent established practice of unlawful and unconstitutionality divested and deprived lawful practice and private sector persons of the power and authority vested in them lawfully and validly using unconstitutional means is unlawful in terms of Section 2.1. And the order that the respondent shall bear the cost and such. So now the approach is that this has never been done. And I know that we're dealing with a despot regime, and it's so funny that we are doing it. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. But sometimes we just need to test it. We just need to throw it in there and see what happens. This will be the first time we are testing his decision, because he knows that it wasn't right. He's heard, and he's supposed to be a protector of the Constitution and the defender of the people. So everybody's already said, he ran with these people against against the election, but we're not questioning all that. We're just questioning his decision to not be able to protect. So we'll see what happens from that. So that's just a minor presentation of this. That's what we are doing. In the next few days, I'll give you guys an update as well of what comes out of it. So we're just trying to take action and kind of tie them up into something that we know is right, but they might not go with it, but we push it up and see. If the Constitutional Court says, these were not invalid, then we've managed to win one small battle. One small battle at a time.
The only way we can say we have won is when Mnangagwa is away from where he is. This one would be a side show to some of us.
I know you are a soldier. I knew you were going to say that. Just like another warning, come I know. I am ready for the big war, but being far away, you can do what you can. You can't put 1,000 miles. The Chinese say 1,000 miles. It's hard to put away a fire, but we are trying. Because of technology. And I'm in America, and some of you in England, and some of you guys in Zimbabwe right now. That's unity and spiritual connection that we have. That we have one purpose of really, getting our country back and creating a better future for all of us. And that's important. That's the first thing. That's the most important thing. And that alone is important. That we are all here, regardless of that, we might not have a complete agreement in everything, but that, my friends, is powerful. We are gathered here. Thank you.
Yeah, so Divine, I think you came in at the right time. I wanted to just add value to what Mike was saying. I've researched a bit, and it pains me because a lot of people, the electorate is in the dark. I've always said there's a disengagement between leadership and electorate, particularly on what is happening, and your efforts are combining together. And before I say much, the question is the president of Zimbabwe, with powers vested in him, he has already set a date. Questions surrounding justice, I know justice even after serving sentence. For those who don't know, you can be jailed, serve sentence till justice may prevail when you've finished your sentence. So, is it justice that you are seeking, or according to you, you can reverse that position because the legal standing is that, legal position is that whatever happens in courts is not going to change, the ballot is going ahead. Kindly shed light on that.
It's not always a fact, in my view. If the court, only the court can reverse the decision of the court. Only the court can reverse the president's decision. No one else. A proclamation, and a proclamation. Once a proclamation is made, it's powerful. It's clearly as good as you are going to be hung. He has to sign that proclamation as well, right? If there's a death sentence, but only the constitutional court that questions that, because there's no one above the law. If you look at section 167, subsection 3, subsection 2D, and no one is above the law. So that's the only place you can question the president. So us going there, as you stated, that even people are given clemency if the information has come to light that Chabango is a criminal. The president is not like he's blind. He hears all these things as a person who controls, and he is our soldier. First of all, right? That's what he's supposed to defend, the Constitution. He has a duty. He swore an oath to do that. So our duty is to try and hold him accountable, because nobody has ever gone to the Constitutional Court, because we know that he put all his friends when Mugabe was in office, when he was the Minister of Justice. Mugabe was sleeping, he didn't know. And Nangag was busy putting his friends. He took $800 million from ZANU PF and put it through First Bank and controlled all that money and bought all Makaranga chiefs and everybody gave them 100 million just to control and create this Karanga hegemon. So he's not playing around. You're dealing with somebody who did everything, who spent over $1 billion to become a president. So he put judges in there. But what we know, some of these guys, uh, this has never been tried. We're just gonna give it a shot, and we know it's hard. But as far as the candidates are concerned, these are candidates, and we don't want to give Nangagwa to be in office in parliament and control parliament by himself. We want to give him an opportunity to have opposition by all means. So the
Okay.
price of CCC, then we might file this thing, and maybe the Constitutional Court might say, hey, reverse, who
Okay,
knows?
guys.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. We've been trying to listen, to follow your your conversation and all that, and us here, we are discussing about, the things that are happening in Zimbabwe, and we don't see the reason why these by-elections anyway must go ahead, because the elections were rigged in the first place.
Well,
And
if
we are
he
of the
has a
mind
total
of
control
saying,
of
if
parliament,
the elections were
you
rigged,
want to
why
avoid that.
not start afresh and do fresh elections? Because
You have
we
to
had
use
to start
everything
like
you
report,
have.
and you guys are
Right now,
coming up with your own things, and then it seems that you formed a party, and then you want to contest in these elections, and yeah, we
Let me explain on that. What
yeah,
happened?
we yeah, because our agenda is for Zimbabweans to come together and fight the system,
The
and
system,
we're not in
not
that
through law.
stage of forming new political parties and whatever.
No,
We're not
Uh,
there.
No, no,
That's our business.
let Zemu have a drink of water and we go to Weshira. Then Zemu will come after Weshira.
all right. Okay, that's cool. So,
Yes, yes,
oh,
yes.
you want me to take a break?
Yeah, I break we have a Weshira.
Okay. All right. Come on, Weshira. Thanks.
Okay,
Thank you, buddy.
okay. Thank you, Nkoma Dobbs. Uh, yeah, I was just listening in, and I think it's, I think it's a discussion about what's happening in Zimbabwe, especially or what I'm going to talk about, especially the court judgments here, and the court rulings, and what have you, what we have here. To me personally, I think you know, playing in the courts at this point in time is a waste of time. I don't think it's going to help anyone. If it was a few months ago, would have said that the reason why we are going to court is to show that the courts are captured and all that stuff, of which now it's common cause. Even before we went to the courts to challenge this situation, we know the courts are captured. Everyone knows that the courts are captured. If you look at the Amnesty International report and other human rights reports that came out a few months ago, they talk about the capture of the judiciary. So to go back to where we know we are going to lose, to me, it's pretty much legitimizing the whole process, um, the whole process of that we actually seek to challenge. So I personally, if it was me, advising my clients, especially the MPs, I would have told them that no, um, we can take this thing to court, but the issues. We need to do this and that and that and that, which of course mainly which includes citing the whole leadership of the CCC, so that we make sure that we don't have loose ends, especially if you are actually walking into the lions den. Now their excuses are based on that judgment, and to me, they are pure. I don't want to sound pessimistic. Please don't get me here. I don't want to sound pessimistic. It's good to follow procedures all the way to the end, but of course you should have a then what at the end. If we all know that the result is going to be the same as the one that we are actually coming from, because that Supreme Court judgment, to me, I don't think it's proper, right? I don't think it's proper at all for anyone to come out and hype up the public and say, this time around we are going to win. That's not proper to me. It should be like, come on, Taisa, this Supreme Court, just to follow processes. But atifanyanyo kuisa mahopes high musystem yatoziva kuti yakagara iri shrewd against us. That thing is going to get dismissed, and everyone knows that. And everyone knows that. And right now, we know, but of course, in terms of the law, I know there's been some talk. You could see, what does this judgment mean? Yeku High Court. That judgment does not give Chabangu anything, right? It doesn't give him any power whatsoever, or any other benefits besides the fact yokuti the court is saying kuti you guys makauya challenger, what happened to you, munakuya mune enough information, for me to rule that the status quo is not what it seems to be. That is the case, and the issue here initially was supposed to be Yamudenda, because Mudenda is the one who caused, not caused, and who is the one who facilitated the removal of the MPs from parliament because of a fraudulent letter Yakatona Chabango. But now, look at the Supreme Court appeal. To me, is what are we appealing against? And are we appealing against the High Court judgment? Yokuti the High Court haina kudima Chabangu an illegitimate a member of the Triple C area? Are we challenging kuti Mudenda should not have recalled Vanu here? Because if you look at that Supreme Court appeal, it has no remedy or it has no order sought kuna Mudenda or the president of the Senate. So what are we saying here? This is all about Chabangu now. Of which Chabangu is a small boy, a small fish in terms of the legal dynamics that we are trying to play here. Because any judge, I don't go to Hakuma. There's no order against the parliament. Saka Nangoteka Chabangu. I was not supposed to do that. The Speaker of Parliament, Kanamchi Kuti, he had the right or the authority to expel my MPs. Then it should stand that the MPs are expelled. Then let's look at that and walk back the processes to know how best or how then can the court come in and reverse that. And since Sinumsnakusa on the order against the Speaker of Parliament, then how then are we expecting the court to then rule? And Takato Garata to apologize to the Speaker of Parliament in the High Court. And
Excuse me,
yeah,
sir. Thank you so much for explaining all that. We already know that it's captured. So can we move forward about what we need to do to remove ourselves from this capture we are in? Those things we already know. So we want plans we can do to be out of this
yes, if you give me the
problem on
opportunity, I was
yes.
going to get there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give you context. I think the issue with some of us is that we want to rush to the end without really looking at where we are walking, where we need to fix. Here is the thing that I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the inadequacies that we have right now. I'm not criticizing anyone, right? I'm not criticizing anyone. We are trying to get to the solution as to what now we need to do or what we ought to have done, right? Right. Right now we have a Supreme Court judgment or Supreme Court appeal that is there, right? So what can we do to do that to make sure that that is to me I would say that is already a foregone judgment. The judgment is going to come and is going to be dismissed on a technicality like the one in High Court. But what I feel should have been done or what should still be done is that Chabangu is not invisible, right? Chabangu is not invisible. If we are saying Chabangu is not a member of the Triple C and truly so, an interdict or a restraining order can simply be filed by the party to stop him from doing what he's doing. Because he's not a member of the party, he has no authority to do what he's supposed to be doing. So clearly, an interdict or a restraining order can be filed in the High Court by the party and say Chabangu has to stop. Chabangu, we don't know him, he's acting illegally, and therefore we are restraining him from acting within that capacity until the court determines from our submissions as the rightful custodians of the party that this person is not amongst us. Then the case can be ruled on that. And here is the thing, we would have given the court the power to then see whatever argument we are going to put in against Chamang as a person and in his capacity as whatever he is saying he is. And this time around, these are not individuals. But if you look at that judgment, as bad as it was, I would refer you to the first sentence, which is just referring Kuti, how can two children come before the court and the other saying that this other child is not is the illegitimate child of my father when the father is not there. So basically, what it's just saying is that the Triple C as an entity, as a party, should have come before the court or still can come before the court and said, no, Uchabangu is not amongst us, is not someone, Anofa Ari, Achita, whatever is doing, then he can be stopped. But now the issue is whatever is going to happen, or whatever case is going to be taken to court, it's not going to be taken by individuals. It's going to be taken, if it's an individual, it has to be an individual
Wait,
in his
Wejira,
official capacity.
Wejira, Wejira, can I
Uh,
ask you a
I'm
question
going to land on this one.
before you
No,
land?
thanks.
Before you land. So these courts that are captured, that you're saying Triple C should have done this to the court, are these courts not captured? Are these courts? I Were you not saying the courts are captured, or it's or someone else?
You see, my argument, let me just probably draw back there. The courts are captured. I'm clear on that. And what I'm saying is what ought should have been done, right? Which was probably going to be a better strategy rather than probably individuals taking cases to court. Because if the party itself had probably, I'm not blaming anyone there, but if the party or someone in the official capacity had approached the courts, then it was probably going to be hard for the captured courts to say that you guys in Murukuta Roti, because now if the court had ruled like, okay, Chabangu is a part of your organization, when the organization itself is saying it's not, then that was going to be a clearly appealable ground to say the courts have no right to assign a member to us who is not part of us. But now, as we look at like how it's playing out right now, it's going to be difficult to then deal with the Chabangu issue in the Supreme Court because the High Court has already put out a ground that you guys have not shown enough proof. But of course, there are arguments in there. There are arguments in there that the lawyers are arguing, saying that the court should have taken into consideration the letters that were sent by the president to the High Court, and he should have the letters that were sent by the president to the Speaker of Parliament. So the arguments are that those letters are legitimate.
Yeah,
Those letters were supposed to be.
I think. Okay,
Mhm,
Wejira. I think, yeah, I understand where you are
mhm,
coming from. But Isusu now, I think as Zimbabweans or progressives, we've gone beyond that. We now understand who the enemy is. That's why I was saying these things about courts and stuff and whatever. It doesn't hold water anymore to us because our enemy is ZANU PF and the system of Zimbabwe, which has destroyed our institutions. So we're no longer there. We're saying all these
I actually
by
agree with you.
elections or rigged elections,
Mhm,
they do not mean anything. We want Zimbabweans to come together
mhm,
and resolve all these problems that we're seeing.
correct.
We're not longer talking about going to court, this, doing that, and that. We want ZANU PF out. That's what we want. We've gone past that stage. We know what's the problem. Because when someone is suffering from cancer, I cannot give him paracetamol as a scientist. I'm wasting my time. I need a drug that will be able, maybe the drug that is less invasive, that will be able to identify the cells of the cancer and kill them first before they kill normal cells, which is less invasive. So we are wanting to remove the weed, and this weed is ZANU PF. We're no longer there, Kumakocha captured courts and whatever, this and that. We know our system is messed up and our country is in the wrong hands. And we're trying to come up with comprehensive solutions that will allow us to remove ZANU PF because these guys are looters. They do all sorts. They bend the law anyhow. You know, They rigged the elections in broad daylight. They do not care. Even the reporters, when they came, the international observers, they said the similar thing, that these elections were not credible. And we know delimitation report, they butchered it left, right, and center. It was something else. So apanokuti, oh, so and so should have gone to there, so and so should have gone to that. It does not give us our country back. That's where we are as Zimbabweans. Yeah.
And where,
It's
where
a
are we?
it's a space that is slightly different from other normal spaces where they do theory and discuss and debate. We do not do such things here. Anyway, Dobbs, get in.
No, it's all right to discuss and debate, but then in conclusion, action is needed to be taken. Like what Wejira was saying, to say what were the possible remedies. But those remedies, I don't think they are necessary, because we'll be just addressing symptoms to just protect somebody who is a product of illegitimate process, or product, or to try to protect a structure which have already been declared substandard. Because we have to revisit to the 23rd August elections to say those elections were not free, fair, and credible. And without going there and have fresh elections and do all those necessary recommendations, because we have been in that cycle before. Even in 2018, you know what happened in 2018? To say there were the recommendations, but all of them were ignored. We have Moshande Commission recommendations. They were ignored. Do you know that among those recommendations, Moshande Commission, some of them were to prosecute those soldiers who killed the people on the streets. If they have prosecuted them, people like Ngazwell, that youngest MP, could not be get kidnapped and beaten the way how he was beaten, and the culprits identified and no action taken, because that one was not never adopted into our policy. And even if we stretch back, Wejira, you to find out such recommendations were even there. If you look what happens to the Catholic Commission for Peace and Justice recommendation on Gukuraund, or Dumbujena and the Chiambakwe Commission reports on Gukuraund, you would find out to say they recommended that the military mustn't be used to circle political scores. And what is happening now? They've even managed to extend it to such an extent that we now know about lawfare, to say they're now using law. And the way they use those laws, they misinterpret them. If the victim is from opposition, like what happened to Ngaribvume, who was calling for a peaceful demonstration, and now is being convicted for incitement to violence. So, but when we come here and stand here, we would understand what we are saying. To say it's very, we will be afraid even to say what we are saying, because we know how the system can just misinterpret my words, and I will be in trouble. But even if I am in trouble, I'm already in trouble, because I don't have a government. Because I don't see the logic of using 5 million to do the elections, and now there are other fresh recalls. We are going to use maybe 10 million. Yet we haven't paid even the farmers. And the way out they remedy to say, like what they were doing, to say the shortage of fertilizers, the cement, and so forth. So people should import instead of manufacture those items in our country, where labor is available and all the raw materials are there. But they make it very impossible, because they are the ones who are going to benefit if we import. So all those issues, we need to examine them in detail, not just to focus chidhoma chinonzi chavangwe chakangokandwaona munangagwa, because we know vamasiye kuti munhu kana ari muroyi akakutumira chidhoma, you deal with both chidhoma chacho ichocho nemuroyi wacho kuti asakuroye futi mangwana. Because the issue here, even if chavangu is restrained with your order, like what we are saying, to say we can apply a restraining order which will restrain Chavangwe to do further recourse. Do you think Mnangagwa would not find somebody to use to do the damage again? And who are going to suffer? It's not even CC, it's us on the ground, especially the ones who live in Zimbabwe. We are the ones who are going to suffer more because we do remain without service, which are essentials for our own lives. So that is where we have a problem. That is the reason why we are saying let's regroup and map out the ways forward. You can get in touch with me on the DMs and we can discuss the way forward of how to move in this regime using all those constitutional means. Of course, we'll use the constitutional means to do, but for them to, because the biggest problem, they write what we should do. Like right now, they are telling us to say we are complaining about the appointment of Brigadier General Valerio Swanda into Politburo to say no, he's now a member of the NPF, yet he shouldn't be a member of any political party. But they're telling us to go to court because they know that we captured court. Instead of just addressing it, they are just telling us to go to court. So the issues we are dealing with is not only limited to by-elections, because a by-elections is just a sign of them. But we understand to say we have all those issues to resolve. And our understanding is if ZANU-PF is in power and the ED is in power, with his corrupt and nepotism, and while he's capturing everything, even if you go to the Mutapa Sovereign Wealth Fund, the capture of those 20 parastatal, and the removal of them from that act, what is that act? Public Procurement and the Disposal of Assets Act, which means he can sell those ones. If you interpret it, I know you are an advocate, a well-known advocate of international reputation in Wajira. If you interpret it very well, he can easily sell them, and nobody is not answerable to anybody. So that is the problem we are having at the moment. It's broader than that Chavangwe issue, because if we just see the Chavangwe issue, that is the way how we want us to see it, and that is the way how we see it when Monzora was being used. But this time we are saying even if he is going to recall all the MP from opposition, he will face us from the streets. And on the streets, the voters, we are in millions. He knows how many registered voters are. We are in millions. We cannot be counted like what he can easily deal with the opposition representative, but not supporters. And not really supporters, Zimbabweans, because it's all about Zimbabweans. Even those ones in ZANU, they are not happy. They are telling us to say the situation is not sustainable, and it means a lot to us. And when we say enemies ZANU and the ZANU system, we mean those ones in Mnangagwa and his those who are benefiting from the system. Those are the real enemies of Zimbabwe, not the ordinary person. Some of the ordinary person are telling us to say no. You can see my my children are not even going to school because I don't have any money to pay for school fees. So we understand where we are now. We need to resolve those issues. So those are my contribution. I received my mic. I am seeing Zimbabwean senior have been raising their hands. I don't know who is going first to Western calls.
Yeah, if I can quickly go first, Mkuma Senior, please. Papa and it's not time around. Rukumbira, is that okay with you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Mnozia pane chinhu chinondirwadzisa stereki panyaya iri kuitika nezvematongerwo enyika yeZimbabwe. It's very painful, very, very painful. You see, there are laws which are made in parliament, and then there is also laws which happen in court. As a case happens, then precedence is set. And then there's the constitution. Yeah. Now, these things are supposed to be all separate, but having equal power. The third kind of law is the one that comes from the executive branch. If I, as a citizen, and the ordinary citizen in the road, then begins to not trust the law of the land, what then happens is that it then becomes archaic. Anarchy rules. What is said in the parliament, what is said in the court, what is said by the executive branch, everybody just sticks two fingers up at it, or one, or none, or they go one step further. They take action against it because they no longer trust it. Because these laws that are there, they come from one place, and that is the people. That is where the laws come from. If I can give you another example, if in Zimbabwe, the Zimbabweans sit down and say, we want to have a law where every single Zimbabwean is allowed to have land. And that Zimbabwean, when they get that land, they cannot be taken off that land. And then the government comes in with the executive branch, remembering that the law to have every single Zimbabwean having land was put in the constitution. It was put in place through the court, and the executive branch agreed to it at some point. So it then becomes universally agreed upon by every single Zimbabwean that this is now the law. If the executive branch now come in and then they put in their own things and they let others get involved in things that the rest of Zimbabwe has not agreed with, the other parts of government have not agreed with, and then the executive branch forces the legal side and the parliament side to not listen to the people, and they take away power from the legal side and the parliament side, it then leaves Zimbabweans saying, to hell with the executive branch, because the executive branch will not listen to me. They will not allow me to petition the courts, and they will not allow me to even petition the parliament. And if I use my vote, which is my one human right, that is universal to each and every single Zimbabwean, as soon as they reach the age of 18, that if it's taken away, then I'll be asking myself, what is the point of me even thinking of going to court? This is where you find yourself now with Zimbabweans. CCC, as a political party, has gone to court. Yet Zimbabweans on the ground are turning around to CCC parliamentarians and saying, why are you going to court? CCC went and competed, double candidates. Zimbabweans are turning around and, on the ground and saying, look, if you don't compete, we don't care. It's fine. We're just going to vote in ZAPU, and we're going to decimate ZANU-PF. In terms of the economy, Zimbabweans are now looking after themselves, regardless of what the executive branch does. The executive branch will always come up and then say, oh, we looked after you by giving you milk and bread, by putting in subsidies, by giving you free education a long time ago. But the same executive branch will never turn around and say, but we took away all your pensions. 2 times. 2 times. The same executive branch will not turn around and say, we are taking away your land, which we promised we would never do, your ancestral land. The executive branch will then turn around and say, you've got parliamentarians, you can vote. Why don't you go and vote? And then you see people sticking 2 fingers at that too. Going to court, you go, it's fine. going to try and be a Democrat, you go. It's fine. But when you see a government paying for an election when there's no fertilizer and there's no paracetamol, and teachers are not getting wages, and nurses are struggling because they're not getting paid enough to be able to get to work, and same goes for doctors, and you've got despondency in the army, you should know this is a perfect storm for something to happen. There's only one video that I've posted that has ended up turning around and getting into my family chat. One. I didn't post it anywhere. I posted the video on Twitter. One. That's the video of the time when people went into the embassy and removed ED's portrait. Now, that should tell you something. And I can bet that same video is in everybody's family chat. I bet you. That I bet you. If you didn't put in your family chat, somebody else put in your family chat. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to play politics, it's fine. If you want to go to court, it's fine. Sadly, if there's any ZANU PFs listening, hear me now when I'm telling. I warned you that this day will come. The day has come. Zimbabweans don't care anymore about your laws. They don't. That video, which I posted first, that's the only video that I've posted. It's done the rounds. That video there, watch this space. I'll land there for now. By the way, I'm not threatening anyone. I've always said, if you don't rule properly, there's going to be anarchy. And the anarchy is coming. I don't want to start it. I don't want it. You can have all these side shows of going to court, of doing this, of doing that. But when even your own friends from other countries are telling you the way you're governing your people is wrong and you don't listen, wait and see what's going to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Zimbabwe, for that, Signoro.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, you're right, Konzanani. It must be a space with a difference. Action-packed. There's one critical point in passive. It doesn't have to be long, deep narratives of the same things that have been tried. But fundamentally and critically so, it is important to have a preview without necessarily dwelling on the old, tried and tested. It's important. And there's danger in jumping into solutions with emotions. I may be the last one to know what's going on. It's one point that I just want to allude to, but I think you are explaining it so well, so that at least some of us who are just joining a vehicle that's moving already, so that we understand, we have a background of the ethos, values, and objectives of this progressive movement. Critically important. Sometimes it's important to understand that synergies are critically important, and as I get into what you are requesting, to look for synergies outside motherland, because it's a huge task. And I hope you have a legal framework. So, for example, if we how to say, a legal framework that we consult. Can be a pro bono. There are international lawyers that probably a research team that seeks to find out services that can be found without even necessarily training us as a people. I'm sure it will then make sense to say the issue of exhausting legal recourse for convenience, because they don't fit the shoe that we wear. Explaining to them, they may not understand. But the show that I'm referring to, we know that it's a captured system. They are in an ideal world, which doesn't demand people to be barbaric. But we are barbaric because we have lost our mind, we've lost trust in anything that one can think of to resolve. Unless if we are not on the same page, where things that happen in Zimbabwe, they don't make sense if you explain to a foreign counterpart. Straightforward issue that you can confront someone and say, I don't like what you are doing. They don't get it. You don't have, it's not about stamina. You can die for crying. So, but the footage that speaks to uh, evidence that laws in Zimbabwe, they don't work. I'm saying this from a personal experience. United Nations, everywhere. Jurisdiction is one thing that is detrimental. So the world is very rough, it's tough, in the sense that they want to put uniformity in things that happen. Our situation is extraordinary, very extraordinary. So, yeah, as I learned, for convenience, I think at some point it might be need there might be need to consider maybe a restriction or an interdict by citizens, not by any political party, by citizens, that we are prejudiced, we are the beneficiaries. Truly so. It would sound slightly different because what is being tried and failed is what is being done on behalf of us by leadership. And whatever cause this group seeks to um, pursue, I believe it is similarly something that hasn't been tried by leadership. So holistically, I think everything that comes directly from the affected persons, it's critically important. But anyway, um, yeah, thank you for the good space. Um, let's not despair. It is a journey. It's important. Let us not give up. Chino chaya takarivara anytime. Don't ask me why. Your gut feeling and my gut feeling, they're totally different. Those are some of the strategies that people can say, plan to say. Chaya. I think I heard from Dobbs, I've said it before, and others, that let us not think that only those who are distressed are those that are outside Zim who don't subscribe. If we are to use our own apparatus as an information finding out, not propaganda, you'll be shocked that the people whom we think they are okay, Zimbabweans are equally distressed. They're equally frustrated. So it doesn't matter who is going to bring that opening. It can be a smarter, repeated event, smarter than 2017. Surely I think people can then exercise their right to cry, to howl, to say, no, this is what we want. Or it speaks to preparedness. But many thanks. The struggle continues. Victory is certainly guaranteed.
Yeah, many thanks, Uncle Signoro. Yeah, everybody is a bit frustrated, and we can see, but everybody at the same time, of everybody is hopeless. You can see the way the suicide, the drug abuse. You can then understand to say that the people have become hopeless. They need somebody to give them hope because everything else is not working. Even the politics of the country is not working. If every observer can say the elections were not free, fair, and credible, it means takabika mbodza hapana chatinacho in terms of leadership. Imbodza leadership ndo yatinayo. So we need to give those people hope and start building, and they must understand their constitutional rights, which they don't see because they are being muzzled left, right, and center by the system, not by anybody, by the system itself. That is why at times we have grouped to say, let's just group in numbers, get in touch, organize what we can organize, because they wanted to send us to say, go and demonstrate in the street. No, don't take orders from the system. Demonstrate the way they don't understand. Even if we decided to demonstrate in Zimbabwe or abroad, they mustn't understand the way how we are going to demonstrate. Because even that demonstration remains a constitutional right, which is being taken by misinterpretation of law, where we are supposed to give notice. The word notice has now become a permission to say we require permission from the police. We don't require that permission. We are supposed to give them notice. So if they don't respect people, when we do our demos, they will just find us doing those demos and would want to see those soldiers who are ready to be used and abused again. Because maybe that is the mistake we are making, to say we don't mobilize. That is why we have come up with the platforms like this and any other platforms like that call to act, which managed to defend the vote and expose what have been happening in Zimbabwe for so long, but there was nobody who was. We didn't care about defending the vote. We left it to the political parties. But while this, we are the ones who were being affected until we open until that group shows us the way to say that the vote itself needed to be defended, and it's a collective effort. Same applies to this group, to say it's a collective effort, to say we need to take a collective action to the system to show them that we are not happy and to do those reforms which are necessary. Uh, there are some of the things which we understand, to say through those courts, like what that one Zemo was saying, to say I'm doing A, B, C, D. Even if he gets the positive results, we would understand where it comes from. To say the system have agreed with that judgment, it's not coming from an independent system, but the from the independent judiciary, but from the system itself, from the ZANU-PF system itself, whether from the joke or from the Politburo, that way we don't know. They would have the one. They would be the ones who have told the Supreme Court judges to say go by this judgment. That one, yeah, we are guaranteed we now know, because the judges themselves, they have written to the president to say we are now captured. So it's there in black and white. So we understand them. What we need now is for us to group behind the scene, and those who doesn't want to group with us, you can support through other means. We've got a coffee link up there. You can buy us some coffee, where we can then use that to mobilize others who are suffering because of the drug abuse, which is coming from, again, from that system which are supplying them with drugs. What is it? They are protecting their own children. They are supplying ours with the drugs. ZANU-PF is just killing everybody left, right, and center. So we have to understand that to say we have a role to play. We might have that set-up system like the justice system, which is not working. Like what Zimbabwe was saying, to say people would end up not following the law. And that is what is going to happen. The government is very, somehow, very lucky or blessed. I don't know the word we can use to say, decided to say, let's use legal means, because we understand to say they would understand to say these people, they respect us. So let's respect them. But if they continue doing like what they are doing at the moment, to say we are going for by-elections, we have got a Supreme Court appeal, another recall is there, bringing another confusion and another side show. We are not going to go by that side show. We are going to pinpoint to say, let's start the whole issue of elections, reforms, and then the elections, because 2023 is not done and dusted. We are not waiting for 2028. We have to do the 2023 now, and that message would be going. And I don't think even those ones who claim to be ZANU-PF or Varakash, you put them aside and communicate with that message which you need to communicate to say, yeah, it's not done and dusted. And they will see your message and they will act according to the message. If they don't act, we are going to make them act according to that message. And it will be, that is the nice thing about it, to say the message is going to where it is supposed to go. Because if we have a debate here on the platforms, Varaka should just come and defend what they are very good at defending, misdirecting people, and the message is they don't go to relevant offices where they are supposed to be going. Now we know. We know now. We know them. The better ways of communicating with those relevant office is just to go there and communicate. And if they don't respond, we show our anger. And there are constitutional ways of showing our anger, because there's no way where we can show that we are not happy with the 2023 elections. What is the evidence is there to say nobody is happy? And the evidence is there to say it was a process which didn't produce nothing, which needed to be redone. But people are now, that system wanted to divert us to the by-elections. We would not settle on the by-election. We would just assume to say by-elections are just side shows. But the issue, we need to do fresh elections and come with the president who comes from the people, because the president is the biggest authority in Zimbabwe, because we have an executive president. And that term executive president, it means that he have executive powers. And with ours, we have captured all those, some of the laws, parastatal, sovereign wealth fund, appoint his sons in cabinet, some higher position in the army, his relative in chief council and his senate. Oh, that authority is beyond what we other people imagine. So we need to deal with those issues as they are. If we deal with those symptoms or part of the issues, they will still going to come back. So those are my thoughts for today. Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe freedom of expression. You might not be near. So we also need your input, people like Wejira. We also need your input, because we are not wise, we are not clever, but we are just seeing that we have got a problem which is bigger than what people say. We are not undermining you to say you can't contribute to anything to do with the struggle. You have been on the struggle. We know you have been there before, but I think you would agree with me to say the legal system does not work. It's compromise. You have done a lot and exposed that it was compromise. And now it have become worse. Understand, you would understand the way where we are now to say it have become worse than that time when you were fighting it. That is why you can see even us at the rural areas, our land is being taken left, right, and center. Yet we were on the forefront fighting for those ones, the farm workers, and losing the battles for that one. What about us? Our land is just being taken and no compensation, nothing. And we are being told we don't have title deeds for a land in Zimbabwe by a Chinese because he have got the backing of the president who is coming from the results which were announced from the thin air. No V11s, no V23, only percentage, which we don't know how do they come to those percentage. So we need to understand all those jargons to say where are we at the moment and how can we get away from it. So that is the reason why I'm saying the only way we group like this, organized behind the scene, some supporting, as I've said, we have a COFLINK by us and the other soldiers who are on the ground throughout the other countries, throughout Zimbabwe, doing those campaigns to highlight, to say our problems can be solved if we all unite and pinpoint where it is coming from. Those are my submissions. Host and co-host, get it. Let me just say some more time. I'm not feeling well.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Can you hear me, Commodore?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, I do agree with you. And before I landed, before my 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 talk, I was pretty much agreeing with the status quo that these court cases, they're not really helping. I think that was like my first statement. These court cases are not really helping out the situation, and it's they're basically putting us back into you know a circle where we just go back. We know the result. They do that. Like they give their judgments, and we cry again and all that stuff. I think we had started very good, like after the elections, by saying, okay, these guys, we know they rigged the elections. Observers were here. We know that even if we launch even a strong case with the Supreme Court, the Constitutional Court, we knew the judgment that Malava and these other judges would probably, give a judgment against, the opposition and so forth. So if we had probably maintained that, going forward, I think it was going to be a better stance.
Yeah,
Uh,
just
mm.
because I want you to put this into consideration because the latest WhatsApp I'm receiving, they said the Chavangwa have been fired and a new interim SG and the chairperson appointed. If they have done that, can you then put them into consideration to say are they going to help so that we can concentrate on the main issue if we having actual elections?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I saw that way back, but I wouldn't want to, comment on that because I don't know the veracity or the authenticity of that communication. Because I know initially we said Chamango was never a member of our party, so it would probably be confusing to say that he has been expelled and so forth. But I wouldn't want to comment on that. But let's say hypothetically that is the situation. The strategy that I actually, presented before of an interdict or interdict, approaching the courts with an interdict, it will then help. Because now, if he acts beyond whatever has been done now, he's now acting as an outsider in terms of whatever constitutional mechanism he feels that appointed him. So it would have, whoever would approach the courts on behalf of Triple C would have a legitimate local standard or basis of getting an order to bar Chamangu from proceeding anyhow that he wants. So I think that is a good strategy if that is what happened and if Chamangu, okay, if that is true. But I wouldn't want to comment on that because I saw that way back, but the source of it wasn't really clear. Like, is this real? Is this not? Because I think there's a WhatsApp circulating with a letter purporting to come from the Triple C. But if that's the basis, then I think that will formulate a basis of approaching, the courts on an interdict. Because an interdict here, just people, I think one gentleman questioned like, okay, these courts are captured, so why would you want to then go that route? An interdict or a prohibitory interdict is basically something that is mechanical. It's not like you are putting in the fresh arguments or anything. It's pretty much mechanical. It's mechanical, which probably I can just say it's mathematical. The rules are clear. You just have to have local standard, and you just have to have a remedy that you are seeking. And if that other person is just seeking and whatever you're trying to bar that person from doing, and if that person has no authority and so forth. So if it's a provisional order where you go, let's say for now, like what's happening, where Chabangu is on a spree of sending letters to government institutions. If we are to go that route, we would first seek what we call a provisional order, where we go to court and say Chabangu must be stopped now. So the moment it is termed by a judge and we serve it on Chabangu, Chabangu has to stop whatever he's doing until a court hearing is set down. So on the set down, that's when they argue now the provisional order, where the court will be saying, okay, now we have this order. This guy is saying that you are causing irreparable harm to the party. So let's hear about the irreparable harm. Do you have power in terms of the law to do that? So the court will then hear that. But now what would they have done is to stop this madness right now. Because if that is going to happen, like you see what happened after the high court ruling, Chabangu went on whatever medias and he was talking about, going to Masvingo, those are talks of a madman, of which if you see something like that, you have to nip it in the bud immediately. So I think probably what's happening right now behind the curtains or whatever, I think it's something that is trying to seek redress in that. So for me, I've always been a lawman, and when I used to do this kind of litigation in Zimbabwe, I used to have people saying, yeah, why are we going to court when we know that these guys are going to just convict us? To me, I think my strategy was pretty much to say that we're going to court to document or at least trying to put into perspective if we're to revisit history that this is what happened. We went to court and you had not committed any crime. You were arrested for demonstrating and you were being prosecuted under a law that is unconstitutional, and the judge actually agreed with that unconstitutionality. But more like the documentation part of it, the historical part of it when you are revisiting. But now when I was talking now, I think I said like, okay, I think that part, given the history, I think it has passed. And where we want to document kuti izvindo zvakazoitika izvindo zvakazoitika, it's no longer time yokunyanya stereki tichiendesa zvinhu kumacourt and all that stuff. It's the time for citizens now to come together and use another form of advocacy, which is probably out of the courts. I think Kudara, or even probably in many countries, you would find kuti advocacy in terms of pressuring the government would come from different different sectors of society. You would have people actually demonstrator in the streets, putting pressure on the executive on the other end you go. Then you would have also litigation going on the other side, putting pressure on the judiciary. These are arms of the government. Then you would have people, advocating again, for reforms and in other issues in various government departments. For example, the parliament, putting pressure on another arm of the government, which is the parliament. But if you look at the dynamics now that we have in Zimbabwe, you'll find out that probably when you are dealing with advocacy or pressure or pressurizing for change, you find out Kuti, those things are not going simultaneously. You find out Kuti kana tichita sort of advocacy, we just go with one type of advocacy, which probably for now I can say taking issues to court and engaging other international organizations like SADC. That is the main way of the advocacy. But now that advocacy now cannot just hold irregular. It has to be complemented by peer pressure, by pressure from the citizenry, who will be exercising their constitutional right to demonstrate and putting pressure on the government, on the executive. And right now, what this system is now trying to do is to nip or kill another type of advocacy, which is or was about to come through the Triple C in Parliament. That's why they have this recalling, because they know that executive, Parliament, they have killed it. Citizenry, they've also tried to kill it by making sure the people fear to go into the streets. And now what they are now trying to kill again is this other aspect of the advocacy, Yekuma courts, the judiciary, and also international pressure. So for me, it's all about that. To me, I'm probably just landing. I think this is the time where probably